Hello, welcome to Soul Magic 99. This is Atlantis Part 3. The farming in those days, they worked with the rhythms and the needs of nature. They knew the human body was in harmony with nature and the correct food was available at the right time for bodies to be kept well. They would sing and chant to all the plants to help them grow and to be abundant. They also used crystals around the plants to encourage their growth and abundance. Lithium crystals was used to heal animals and humans, and it also purified water. Today, if you place a lithium quartz in some water, it purifies it. Also, placing water into a blue glass and placing it in sunlight, this again purifies the water and charges it with divine energy. If you pour some of this into a local river or pool of water, it will help purify the larger area of water. The food produced at this time was rich in nourishment. It contained prana, divine life force, so little food was actually needed. The people would spend time in creative pursuits, drawing, painting, sculpting, or making things. They loved to make music and relax in nature, spending time with family, friends, and their animals. When we become busy and do too much thinking, it causes us to disconnect with ourselves. Back then, people loved a celebration. They did not need any drugs to enjoy themselves. They were mainly right-brained people, and everyone was cared for and treated with compassion, and it was a loving and sharing time. Their minds enabled them to develop spiritual technology, which was harmless to everybody. These societies were child-centered. They were considered a gift to the community. When the Intergalactic Council felt the people weren't ready for another level of technology, they would reprogram the Great Crystal with that information. People used telepathy to access it, but again, not everybody had access to all information. One means of travel they had was they developed a metal tray. They would use a wand-like stick, which they would hit the tray with, and this created a sound vibration, and this would then rise above the ground. And they would be able to travel around the ley lines of the planet. The ley lines could only be used at certain times of daylight, and full moon were the best. And it's thought that the legend of magic carpets came from this idea. The people created stone circles by moving stones into place using telekinesis, sound and crystal power. Again, these were places for them to gather for celebrations. The people would walk to the circles along a ley line, and they would then absorb the magnetic energy through their feet. This raised their vibration. The stone circles were built over underground streams, and the power of the ceremony affected the water. It was blessed and filled with high energy from the celebrations. When people died, when their bodies died, they were not cremated or buried. They were transported into special chambers in which the vibrations were used to transform the physical body back to its original energy form. The angels of light acted as guardians to people at this time. People could see, sense and feel them, and each person also had a unicorn. The unicorn had a pure white light in the shape of a horn coming out of its third eye. Unicorns came from Lakuma, the ascended star near Sirius. This is the spiritual home of all horses, and they held the frequency of purity and divine innocence here on earth. They were also keepers of myth and magic. The Intergalactic Council had placed a vast umbrella of pure high-frequency energy over the continent of Atlantis, causing a biosphere, where elements and atmosphere could be controlled. This energy dome also kept it separate from the rest of the world. This dome was created and used by the Great Crystal, connecting to a network of crystal pyramids above the atmosphere. At birth, a person brought crystals with them from their planet of origin. They used these crystals to connect back to the home planet, although the veil of amnesia meant that they didn't really know what they were doing. This was an unconscious communication, but people felt better for that. Some of the crystal pyramids used during these times still exist on the planet today. Mount Shasta, California, Sedona, Luxor in Egypt, the Sacred Mountains of Tibet, Shambhala in the Gobi Desert, the Royal Tetron Retreat in Wyoming. But for this one you have to seek it out through the inner planes to be guided to it, or seek it through meditation or sleep. The Great Temple of Poseidon. It was named this after the god Poseidon, who rules the sea, as the land was originally under waves, and it was brought to the surface for the experiment. And then after the experiment ended, it was returned to sea once more. The temple was oblong, 600 feet long by 300 feet wide. It had no hard edges. Built of white, black and red stone, covered in orichalcum, a pink gold mountain copper, and it would glisten in the sunlight. At the gate to the temple was a Sphinx statue, which held the Akashic records. These could only be accessed by the high priests and priestesses. The Sphinx in Egypt contains the Akashic records for Earth at this time. There was a great pool of pure energy, which purified anything it touched. This pool of energy could also be used to materialize things into physical form. This was when the Magi realized it could be used for personal use, that the Atlantis experience started to deteriorate. As the moment they used the power for ego aggrandizement, the first archangel came to Atlantis. Gemstones were used to raise consciousness of people, and only one single crystal was worn. But the later Atlanteans were corrupted by this power and used them as aggrandizement, which we will talk about in another video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Take care.